Good morning, David.
I leave all that in, by the way. Listen to the clapping and everything.
Yeah, we just put it all
So
in
now
there.
that he's gone, we can talk about how he's nuts. You can tell how I told him, what was it, a year and a half ago?
Been more than that.
Has it been?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And probably close to 2 years now. We're in Tampa, weren't we?
No. Tampa?
Yeah, we were in Tampa.
Yeah.
We were in Tampa.
2 years?
2 years. Institute Summit, because the Institute Summit's coming up in February, and it's a biannual event. So,
Year and a half then. Because we're in July.
oh yeah. Things are starting to run together.
Anyway, a year and a half ago, I told him he was nuts. He was crazy. And then he told me the secret sauce. How long have you been working for him?
I've been working for him for about 7 months.
Okay, so, you've been for, because he talked
3.5
about you.
years.
Yeah, you tried to leave and quit on him and everything. We can talk about that in a second.
I don't think I
So-
ever quit in his eyes.
You scooch this thing all the way up.
Extended
there.
leave of
Super
absence.
close.
Yes.
Yeah,
There it goes.
So I found out his secret sauce. And then I got mad at him because he had a secret sauce. And he wasn't, like, divulging the secret sauce. And
You
anyway.
yelled the entire episode.
I got mad. I did. Because, it's unconventional. What you guys are doing it's super unconventional. And,
Nobody knows who you're talking about.
I'll refer to the episode. Go back and listen to this other episode. I'll look it up.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Kyle Buenger. I'm a lead tech at Copa Mechanic out in Maricopa, Arizona.
Young lady.
I am Kasia Thompson, and I service advisor remotely / service manager in servicing from Tennessee.
From Tennessee.
From Tennessee, working at Maricopa.
From Tennessee. I could not imagine that. I mean, like,
What
because
part of Tennessee? Because he's kind of close to Tennessee.
Clarksville.
I don't know where that's
So
at.
right by the Kentucky border.
Kentucky. Where
So-
are you in relation to Kentucky?
I guess we would be like
because it's all like
south of
smushed
them.
right there, right? Like,
southeast of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd have to look on the map.
Yeah. It's probably really close.
Yeah, I'd probably so. I remotely service advice sometimes from like here. Now, I have to deal with him yelling and screaming and fussing and complaining the entire time. So maybe that distracts me, but I just don't see how this is possible. Right? Because like my clients want to shake my hand, this and that. I can make estimates from here, but y'all got to explain how this works. Ed explained how it works. But let me be real here.
Episode 104.
Episode 104.
Episode 104.
And I love Ed to death. But here's the thing is like I as an owner have a very different perspective than my staff. I think my shop's awesome. Sometimes my staff thinks my shop sucks. Right? Now Ed is absolutely positive that y'all love it and you think it's awesome. And so I am dying to hear the story, right? I just have to know because it sounds like it works really well. So how about you start and explain how this works?
The time difference is a little off, so my hours are pretty much. I'm 2 hours behind on daylight savings, and then an hour. It's actually ahead, not behind. So I'm working either from 10 to 7 my time or 9 to 6. So I'm a little ahead. So most of the time, I could get my stuff done during the morning or in the afternoon when I do have to work stuff. But I clock in. Usually, I'm there a little bit earlier. I get to answer the phones and make the appointments, do the scheduling, and then I'm in contact with Kyle or Ed in the morning, seeing who showed up, if there's anyone I need to follow up, when we should be expecting them. So there's a lot of communication between us going in. Where I used to check in the vehicles, check the VIN numbers, mileage. I don't get to do that anymore. So I'm kind of dependent on the techs to make sure they put that in the inspection or give me that information to make sure the information is updated in the system. So I'm dependent on them as well as they have to make sure they provide the information for me.
Okay.
So they do put the license plate and everything on the DVI. So I get that with the mileage. And then we just pretty much communicate throughout the day of the vehicle's done. This is what it needs. And I work up the estimates. I call the customer. I tell them what they need. I get the work approved. I order the parts. And then I'm dependent on the parts actually getting there.
Okay.
So the techs do check them in. And if they are saying, I'm not seeing this part, I follow up. Where's the part? Make sure get an ETA for them and go from there.
Who's answering the phones?
I am.
So all the calls get routed to you. You're answering and setting appointments. And hey, where's my car? Can I come in for this? And you're not seeing. Do you have cameras so you can see what's going on in the shop?
No, I do not.
Well, not at this time.
Yeah, not at this time.
We're working on that.
So we're there's glitches and we're still working stuff out. But we
How long have you been doing the remote thing?
about a year and a half now.
Okay.
So I guess the first question I have is like, for me, the check-in process is like a rule. It's like law in the shop. And the reason being is because when that car gets there, before anybody touches it, it gets 4 corner pictures put on the repair
Before
order.
anybody moves it in the spot where it got parked in.
Right.
And we do way more than 4 corners.
Right. Well, I mean, I know any
Wheels,
damage,
mirror,
anything. Yeah.
Windshield, front bumper, everything.
Well, and so we'll do that part in the DVI.
Yeah.
And they'll do that when they start, but that goes in auto text me. It doesn't go on Shop-Ware. What shop management software are y'all using? Okay. And so
She said that very quietly, by the way. That's perfect.
I know, right? We'll mute that out and put
We'll just mute
Shop-Ware.
that
Say Shop-Ware. And so I guess the next question for me is like, so a while back I talked to my insurance agent and he said, you would probably have coverage if something went sideways. He said, I'm just telling you that until the client signs a repair order, you do not have liability coverage in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the insurance company until they sign that
That's in
agreement.
North Carolina, dear.
And it has it has the mileage, it has the VIN, and has all that entered. So it would make me nervous, right? Because my process is the client comes in, we discuss the repair that we're going to do with them, they sign off on the screen, and then we go out. We've talked about price, we've talked about all that, the mileage, the tag, everything is entered before they sign off on it, and then we put the pictures in before the technician sits down in the vehicle. And then the service advisor's putting the protective equipment, things like that in the vehicle, seat covers, floor mats, steering wheel covers, all that. And then we pull the vehicle around because it's like that chain of custody that, hey, we followed a specific process to protect your automobile. If anything happened, you agreed we could drive the vehicle, right? So do you guys, I guess my question is do you go to her and say, hey, here's all the information. We've got a signature. You can start the ticket. How does that work?
So, to my knowledge, what happens is everything's discussed over the phone prior to the vehicle coming in.
Okay.
We're all paperless. We're all just electronic. So everything is authorized to the customer online.
Okay. But that happens before he gets in the car, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's either over the phone. So I'll say that it was authorized over the phone.
Okay.
Or it was online. Actually, the customer will authorize it online.
Okay. So they can see the terms of service if they authorize online. Do you go over the terms of service if you're doing it over the phone, or do you like send it to them before you get them to authorize over the phone?
I go over
Okay. Got it.
the price and everything else that we're going to be working on. Yes.
Okay. Got it. And so it gets started. Have you ever noticed a lag or a delay in the like workflow? In other words, it takes you a minute to get it approved or whatever. Because I deal with that in my shop, right? To where I don't get it approved in time, or they come in, they drop off late, or they drop off after hours, and I have to call to try and get the authorization before we start. Because you can get a pre-authorization in Shop-Ware, but you can't get a authorization from the client to start the job without that pre-authorization, right? In other words, they have to pre-authorize it. If they didn't pre-authorize, if you didn't send it to them and them say yes, the problem with that is if you put any information in, it clears, but still it works. I guess I'm just...
I don't know what you're saying. I don't do any of that nonsense.
That makes me nervous. But you're not exactly that.
The laws are different.
I'm just saying you're not like the model example of repair shop ownership. Like you just...
We're talking to somebody who works out of Tennessee for a shop in Arizona. Like, what do you think we're doing here? This is unconventional.
I like the unconventional of this. This sounds awesome. I was going to see if she wanted to service advice for my shop too.
Yeah, have you thought about leveraging your skills and doing
working
more
5-6
than one
shops at a time?
Yeah, I actually was helping out another shop in Chandler the last month and a half because they had a family emergency. So I was helping do some service advising. And
so Malin Newton, didn't he do remote service advising for a while?
I don't know if he was doing remote. I know he was going into shops and helping or doing the writing for the shop. So you're having to call every customer.
yes.
to sell the work.
Yes.
And present the inspection.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a lot of work. How many cars are you doing?
Depends. What would you say?
Depends. 6
Depends.
to 10 a day?
Yeah, anywhere from
6 to 10 a day? You're not inflating that, are you?
No.
That seems excessive. That seems like a lot.
I mean, I only do 3 per tech.
You have a lot of techs, though. You have 4, don't you?
I'm 5 techs right now, but yeah, I do 3 cars a day per tech.
Oh, we kind of run like 2.5. Sometimes when we start getting backed up, Ed will come back and work on the alignment rack or the flat bay or something like that.
with the AC services.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we could get it an AC service, we'll be able to get it, and Ed will be helping out with the AC services on the side. So
Here's my thing: is I've got a service advisor, I've got a parts person, and we've got a lot more techs, so that makes sense. But even with 3 techs, it was a lot for us to get our estimates done every day, like a lot. Now, you not being sitting at the front counter might speed that up because people aren't.
She still has to answer the phones.
Well, I know.
I answer the phones, but this week I came back. I came into the office 2 days. I was a little behind because on Monday I was traveling, so I was kind of having to work up the estimates for the day before. So it was kind of, but there was more distraction than I am at home.
Right.
So with being
It
at
slows you
home,
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the customer walking in and interrupting me, or just somebody walking in off the street, because we do share. Our address is pretty much a street long, so it's like sliding down. Sorry. So we have multiple companies that share the same address. So there's other people coming in for different companies. So that does slow it down too, because they're looking for somebody else.
I'm saying in a more conventional setup, let's say you have just a building. Like we have just a building. We get maybe one person walk in, maybe a day off the street where they're like, and it's always at lunchtime. It's always at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Or when Juan has to leave, that's when they show up. Random people walk in. Can you look at my car? No.
I bet.
It's always
the look
answer,
on
no.
your face is so.
It's always annoying. It's like, no, dude, like call and set an appointment. So, or you can leave it and we'll look at it in a couple days. Anyway, we did 17 cars last week. That's it. 17 cars. We're down, like $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 AROs. What are you guys running?
7 to 8-ish. Sometimes a little higher.
But also, how many oil changes a day are you doing?
It depends.
I'm like, we're probably doing 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are pre-scheduled. We usually will schedule those out like a week just to make sure the customers, really wants to get that oil change.
Do you do the 300% rule on oil changes too?
What do you mean?
Like the 300% rule is like, hey, we inspect every car.
Oh,
we
yeah,
estimate
everything
every car.
that comes in gets a DVI. Every car.
Every car that comes in.
Yeah.
And and I pre-schedule. So I'll also pre-schedule ahead the 6 months for their maintenance.
Okay.
And then I will give the customer a call a couple days before, just making sure that time and date still works for them.
And then when she does that for a specific reason to order the parts ahead of time.
Right. So they're there.
So that doesn't slow the process down.
You're either extremely organized or just exceptionally efficient, because that doesn't work in our shop.
No.
We don't accomplish this. So you're dealing with that many cars. I mean,
How
that's
many
pretty.
Hulu shows are you going through in a day?
I actually I don't have time to watch it because
I'd say, right? Because I mean, if
Your service advisor doesn't watch Hulu?
I don't
Just in the background.
even
I'm
if
not
I
actively
even if
watching.
I tried it before, but I can't even get through half of it because it's the interruptions. So
right,
I don't even
You then
attempt
have to
anymore.
Back up and start watching again.
Yeah, but before in the beginning when I first started, it was more of I was working on average about 4 to 6 hours a day because I do clock in and clock out. So if it is dead, or I'm all caught up, or I'm waiting on them to finish or try to figure out a diagnostic, and I'm caught up, I'm clocked out.
Okay.
And then when I get a call, and I always check throughout the time that I'm off to make sure that something didn't get finished or updated. But I'm pretty much on and off. So if I don't have anything to do, I'm not clocked in.
You do that so you can just get up and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
This is
This
insane
is
to me.
ridiculous.
I know. I mean, I like it. I think it's a really neat setup, and it's got my wheels turning here. like we have so many people that come in. At my shop, I have 5 or 6 people that come in a day, maybe more.
I think Ed was a saint in a previous life.
He's found a unicorn, right?
He's found more than one unicorn, dear.
Why no? I mean,
Well, okay. How do you find 2 unicorns in Maricopa, Arizona? Like, get out of here.
How did you get connected with Ed in the first place?
I was looking for a mechanic to work on my vehicle.
Okay.
So I was going in to get regular maintenance on a timing belt, water pump replacement, and I got recommendations for Ed. So I went in, and then he was saying that he was short-handed. And I was actually debating. My kids were all in school, and I was like, I think it's time for me to actually go into the workforce back again. When I came back, and I was debating for the past month and a half beforehand, and I was like, I think this is, actually God showing me a direction. Right. And I walked in, I said, here's my resume.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So I said, and I started working for him.
And so how did the move happen? Like, what did that conversation go like? Did you go to Ed and say, hey, I got to move, I'm sorry? And Ed said, hey, why don't you work remote? Did you propose the idea?
No, actually, the process started in about September. And I told him, my husband's looking for a new job. I was like, I can't guarantee where it's going to be. He's trying to find something local. But if he ends up moving out of state, then that's where we'll have to be. So I was like, and I suggest that, if you start looking, I could train them. Even if you find somebody earlier, then I'll be able to walk away kind of thing. Because I didn't want leave him stranded. Yeah. He didn't say anything. December came, and I found out that my husband actually applied out of state finally. So I said, you know what? He applied. The next day he got a call. He's already going on his second interview, and I'll know a little bit more. They flew him out. And then I was like, most likely we're going to, if they're flying him out, it's a
pretty solid deal at that point. Yeah.
So I said, I'll train people. And he did take a couple interviews, but nothing panned out. The house, we weren't sure how fast we would sell the house. We put on the market right before Christmas. And mid-January, we got an offer. February 14th, we sold the house. Okay. So I told Ed, I could log in, train somebody. And March, he called, and he said, he was like, I'm busy, kind of going crazy. And then he said, I said, well, if you want, I could help out a little bit, start working part-time. And I thought it was going to be part-time here, maybe 10 hours a week, and it went from, 10, 20, and now it's some weeks it's the 40.
Right.
So full-time. So
that's crazy. And what kind of work is your husband in, if you don't mind me asking?
Maintenance.
Very cool. And so it was just the best opportunity he found was out of state.
Yeah.
So just ran with it. How does this? You were a tech before this, right? You had worked in a shop that had a conventional advisor, and
I've worked for several shops, dealer and independent, that is conventional.
Right. What does this, as far as challenges go, what does it create for you? And in the same respect, what are the wins it creates for you?
So the biggest challenges is basically I'm on the phone a lot more than usual. Obviously, in contact with her, parts. Yeah. Customers not showing up, or trying to cash the customer out, but the estimate's still on there, so we got to get it corrected back to what it was when it was approved by the customer. So I'm on the phone with her 20, 30 times a day, getting all this stuff squared away. Is there a client interaction component for you, or is Ed handling the client interaction component? Most of the time it's Ed, but then when he's out and about doing stuff, then I take over that role. I've been a manager at shops before too. I just find it's easier for me in the back. Yeah. Gotcha. And it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. What do you think, David?
I feel that you've walked into a ridiculous situation, and now there's an immense amount of pressure on you to perform like these two, I'm saying this nicely, freaks of nature. And so, how do you deal with that?
David never says anything nicely, so for him to say something nicely is a huge honor. Okay, I'm just saying that, just putting that out there. It's really not that bad. Again, I think it's easy for me because
I think you're saying that. I need to put proper context into this.
Okay,
this does not happen ever.
No, this is a first for me.
And no, I'm saying the situation, how you interacted with him, how you proposed the situation, all of that This doesn't work. I clock out when I'm not working. I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Ed just got really lucky.
I'm telling you, he was saving baby kittens in a previous life. Like out of burning buildings, he would run in, bring out baby kittens, and then raise them as his own. And then I don't know. I don't know what he was doing.
Can I ask you gentlemen a question?
Yeah.
So on your shops, are you guys for your technicians flat rate or hourly?
Mine are hourly with a flat rate, like bonus structure.
Like a compensation bonus. For
yeah, it's like a
efficiency?
hybrid. Yeah.
Okay, and you?
Yeah.
Same. Okay, so Ed's the same way. Now I could see if it was a flat rate shop, it would be completely different.
Yeah.
But it being the same thing as your guys' shop, so
I
that's what makes
I
it
don't
a
know that it
little
would
more,
be that
more
different.
fluid.
A flat rate shop being.
Well,
I don't think the pay component has anything to do with this. Like when we interviewed him the first time, he's telling us his numbers in episode. What number was it? I said was it 104?
104.
Yeah, see, he was paying attention. Thank you. Episode 104. We're listening to his numbers, and and I'm like, this is not possible. Like this is not possible. And he's like, oh yeah, with one mechanic. And then we found out he was pure blood. What did I say? Pure blood Mexican, real Mexican. So I'm telling you,
tonal privilege.
None of that. What's that?
There goes that tonal privilege again.
I got that. No. Like that goes against me here.
Oh, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, I don't keep up with that stuff.
Anyway, the guy was a freak of nature. Just the hours that this guy was pumping out in the situation that I got to pull the tools into the bin and then pull them out. And I'm working outside and there's no air conditioning. And
he's got awning. They're working on putting an awning up now.
Goodness. Anyway, so this guy's just pumping out work. It's insane. It's nuts. I'm just telling you. I know you worked at a shop. I'm just telling you right now. We've talked to 1,000+ shops at this point. That's insane. The numbers that he was putting out with one guy. He's like, well, I helped. No. Shop owners, for the most part, are worthless. Okay? They get in the way. They meddle. They only do what they want to do, what they find fun. They don't admit it. Not all of them do. And I'm not saying that Ed's entirely like this, but 99% of them will only kind of meddle with what they find fun and interesting, and they don't want to do the grunt work. Like, I don't want to do a tire rotation. I will, but trust me, I'm bitching the entire time I'm doing it. And it's only because we are ridiculously behind, and somehow I got caught in the shop.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah, you only do what you find fun, and you come in and you meddle, and we're all seagull managers. We all are, okay? We come in, we just, we knock, we shit everywhere, and then we leave. That's what we do. That's every shop owner. So he's like, oh, help. No, you don't. No, you don't. This guy's doing all the work. He's your unicorn. He's your secret sauce. Like this guy that you found, right? Lorenzo, is that his name? That's his name, right? Lorenzo? You're Lorenzo.
No, this is Kyle.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm talking about Lorenzo.
No.
Who's the other guy?
Lorenzo's not the unicorn.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
That'd be me.
No, this was a year and a half ago, dear.
Oh, no.
This was a year and a half ago.
We had another attack.
Oh, he left?
Yes.
That was Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to Daniel? Daniel was the Mexican guy?
No.
No, he was kind of.
I don't know.
No, he told me he was Mexican.
Well, Lorenzo was
Super
working.
Mexican. Like Mexican.
That's Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not.
I knew the name.
He's a decent tech, but he's not super tech.
Yeah. He's not more. Ed was doing all the diagnostics back.
Yeah.
And
Lorenzo
was pumping
doesn't.
out the work. Yeah, that's how you told me. I'm
So
just telling you right now.
The unicorn's Ed.
No, it's not Ed, dear.
Back then.
Yeah, it is
He
Ed.
was doing before.
You know why it's Ed? Because he keeps finding these people. That's why it is.
Yeah, that's why he's a unicorn. I love Ed. That's awesome.
How many hours are you putting out being on the phone 20, 30 times a day?
It definitely does slow the productivity down, but typically I'm usually about 105% efficient. And I've gone up before that. So last pay period, I think I was 109 hours for an 80-hour pay period.
109 hours in an 80-hour pay period, and then you're doing 20. Is he doubling the times?
No,
are you running a labor matrix?
He's efficient.
Sometimes.
Right. But I mean, are you running a labor matrix?
You
Yeah,
can't.
we do.
Hold on. You can't do. I'm not trying to disparage your skill. Okay. I just hear this all the time. And it's just like, Okay, I've been in a shop for a long time. I'm just telling you right now, between pulling the car in, racking it, inspecting it, pulling it back down, pulling it back out, pulling the next car in, grabbing the parts, sorting the parts, figuring out what you need to do, looking at the ticket, and you start on the work, either you're working on one line and you're doing 4.3 hour timing belt water pump jobs on Honda Accords or Honda, not Accords, I don't have timing belts. I just dated myself. Honda Odysseys.
Yeah. I'm like,
In an hour and a half.
yeah, actually we did. We had one the other day. It was a 20.
And that's all you do. That's all. I'm not saying that you have 1 or 2 or 3. I'm talking that's all you do. In that situation, then yeah, you're going to be like, pumping out the work and you're going to be like ridiculously efficient. But you're going to run into cars that you're like, I've never seen this before.
Yep, absolutely.
And in those weeks, your productivity is going to tank. So you're going to do 32 hours in a 40-hour work week.
But then the next week, then you do 60 and it makes it up.
Maybe, but that's because the stars aligned.
Well, I guess we get pretty lucky.
You realized it. People think this is normal.
I'm just saying it would. I don't think you guys understand how difficult this would be.
It is difficult. It gets difficult.
Well, I'm sure, but I mean, like, I don't know that any other shop could pull this off.
You have to have the right crew because you have to
trust each other.
have crew members that can do multi jobs. So if you got one guy that's just a tech that doesn't know how to write or interact with customers, it's not going to work. You got to have a team that is fluent in everything.
The problem though is you're dropping what you're doing. You're stopping.
Correct.
Okay, and you got to get on the phone with her because the parts didn't show up.
No, I usually have earbuds so I can multitask. So I'm talking to her while I'm doing something.
Under the whole of science says multitasking is not a thing, and the only ones that can do it effectively are women. That's it, and that's only because you're gonna look. It's if I have to be on the phone, and I've done it. I was a one-man shop for a few months until I was about to quit. It doesn't work anyway. You're on the phone. You get distracted or you're dismissive on the phone. Either you're putting 100% of your attention on the phone or you're putting 100% attention on the job that you're doing. When you start to split, like, I'm sorry, you think you're doing both well, but you're not. Like, you're swinging one way or the other. And so when I would go back, I'd have to go, okay, what was I doing? And it takes, what is it, the number? 15 minutes. It takes 15 minutes to get in from an interruption to get back into your task. Every interruption, 15 minutes to mentally get yourself back engaged. Now, you might be a freak. You all joined all these other freaks, and you're like, I'm a freak too. Let's all do this like ridiculous freak show. And maybe you're just an anomaly. And God bless you for that. I'm just saying that if you are, it will make me angry.
Is it that our shops are such shit shows that it makes like them being able to pull this off make us feel bad? So we're like,
I mean, this is mostly jealousy. I'm just telling you right now, this is mostly jealousy. But I'm just saying it's 15 minutes to get back into the task. And as much as I would like, I can multitask, you just can't. You have to go back and go, okay, I tighten. It's doing a timing chain. It's got 85 bolts on a cover.
I mean, if you did, what was it, Nextel all those years ago that had the push to talk, and like there's new ones of those that are like push to talk.
Like, whoa, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, like something like that could potentially improve it because we use radios in my shop, right? And so the service advisors aren't going into the back that often, but they do go in the back, and like it's beneficial for them to be able to walk back and see so they can explain what it is that we're seeing to communicate that to the client and convey that. I guess my biggest fear for you guys is, can it scale? Not necessarily like, can you take this and multiply this
scaling?
or
They're
building
probably
multiple shops?
He was doing like $500,000 or $600,000 with Lorenzo, and now he's got this other freak shows up and he's pumping out 109 hours or whatever nonsense like that.
Don't take David offensively. He's just offensive, right? Like, so you don't have, when he says freak, it's David is really the freak, okay? And so
I'm sorry. It takes 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes. He's doing 109 hours in an 8-hour work week.
Well, I know some of the jobs.
She clocks out when she's not working. Who does that?
I told him if it's something that you need concentration that you can't, I'm like, just don't answer the phone and just call me back. So there's certain times where, like he was doing the cylinder heads, he goes, I can't be interrupted in this.
Yeah, for sure.
There's certain jobs that I'll wait. And there's a time, I'm like, when I'm speaking with the customer wants an answer. I said, I'll get back to you probably maybe in the next hour or two, because I work remotely and I do have to get in contact with either Kyle or Ed. So it does take a little bit, some time to get back to a customer. So it does put some delay in getting back, and it's a longer process. Even working up some estimates, it does take longer because I'm not actually physically, because I used to love going out in the shop and seeing what's going on and how far they're getting along with the car, because I have to say, how's Lorenzo doing? So I would ask Kyle, how's Lorenzo doing? Because we do have a language barrier there, because Lorenzo doesn't speak English.
Right. Do you speak Spanish?
No.
Oh, that's fun. Do you do a lot of Google Translate?
No, we just do a lot of pointing.
I will do Google Translate with Lorenzo. So we'll Google and text back.
Have you seen the new app that like you can open it on your phone and it translates as they talk? And so that works really well when him and Juan are talking shit about me. I can like open it on my phone and see what they're saying.
Why is it you always think we're talking shit? Trust me, I talk shit to you in English to your face. Why would I need to like say it in Spanish? No, Juan, get out of here.
No. It's because all you do is talk shit to me. So it was just, I wanted to hear what you were talking shit about. Okay, I'm just pointing that out. This is a really, really cool concept. And
did you find that you were just exceptional at your other jobs and you're like, I work around heathens and I need to get out of here, and so you've like needed to find a group of unicorns so you could go frolic in the meadows together?
I just found it very difficult working for corporations. That was the biggest thing. The last job I was at, I was with the company 4.5 years, and it was just, you're just a number to them. So no matter what you're trying to contribute as far as making things better, it just goes right underneath the table, and nothing happens. So finally had enough and
decided to move.
And decided to move on. And the way I found Ed is actually my old apprentice I had at the dealer works for the other company in the building, and he said, "Hey man, this guy's looking for a tech." Gave me the heads up. I came in that night, gave him my resume, and that day hired on the spot and put my 2 weeks in, and then came to work for him.
So something else I've noticed.
The dealership didn't come back. Was it a dealer or was it like a chain?
It was a independent, big chain company. Worldwide chain.
Worldwide?
Yeah, I don't want to throw a name, but yeah, they're worldwide.
Oh, we talk crap on everybody here.
I'm sure you do, but I don't want to
get all sorts of angry comments on you. So you guys ain't dealer techs.
The dude that owned all those Midas stores that I told you about a long time ago from Minneapolis, I think it was Midas. His wife came in. They brought their Mini in, and I was talking to her. He was a super nice guy, really smart, like not your typical corporate store owner, right? Like really nice guy, really cared about his people, really cared about the business, you know? And so his wife came in, and I asked how he was, and she just like, all of a sudden, her face just melted, and she just like, her tears started pouring out, and she said, he is dead. And I said, what? She said, he went to the doctor. The doctor said, hey, I'm really concerned about this. You need to go get this checked. Went to an oncologist. He was diagnosed with cancer. 2 days later, the oncologist said, I think you should go down to Florida. There's this place in Florida, really great doctor, really knows how to handle this. Yeah. Go see that doctor. And the doctor said, I'm really sorry, but you might have 3 to 4 days to live. And he died 5 days later. And this happened all within a week and a half.
The doctor said 3. How can you tell somebody?
Evidently, the cancer had grown into something, or had like, and he was like, "This is."
Yeah, but why wouldn't you just say like, "I don't know how long you have"?
She said the doctor said to him, "This is going to be days, not weeks, not months. You need to go home. You need to be with your family." And so, whatever the doctor saw, there was something that the doctor saw that was
what kills you that fast. That's crazy.
I think it was where it was. I think it had grown into something or something like that. And it had like maybe an artery or something. You know, that happened to Shannon that worked for me. That happened to his mom. She had lung cancer, and it was in an artery in her lungs, and they did not know that. She went to the hospital. She had a coughing fit. And so they took her to the hospital. They were going to do like a breathing treatment to help make things better. And it ruptured while she was in the hospital, and she and it
She bled out and died.
and it was really early after the diagnosis. But
Sorry, we got dark there for a moment.
my bad. Sorry, guys.
Get yourself checked out. Gotta go to the doctor.
So one of the other things that's very unique about Ed's shop is it's outdoors, right?
Yes.
Now, listen, I live in the mountains. Now, the humidity is very different. Like, I can walk around in this, and it really doesn't bother me that too bad. Princess here, he cries the whole time. But
That's a outside thing's Arizona thing. In California too, they got outside shops.
well, I get that. But I'm just saying, like, it's 70 degrees, and my technicians are like, it's hot. Can we turn the air conditioner to 65? Right? Like, they get really
Mine set
bothered
mine
by
to 60. I just let it run.
Yeah.
It never gets that cold, but I just let it run.
Well, I'm just saying, like, is that not a challenge? Does it not?
We had this conversation before you showed up. Had you been here on time? I'm sorry. You're hot-blooded. Go ahead.
Yes. I've been here since 85, so I'm kind of acclimated, but there are things that we do to keep cool. Like I have an ice vest that has pockets in it, so I'll put that on in the afternoon. That helps cool me down a little bit more.
Yeah.
We have 3 swamp coolers, one per tech bay, and then we've got another one that's blowing into our cube where our computers and information for identifix and stuff like that's at.
Yeah.
We got popsicles and waters and stuff like that. We try to stay as hydrated as possible. So
For sure.
combat it.
Well, and I mean, that was one of the things that I thought about when we first talked to Ed, is it's especially the cube or the shipping container where everything is, right?
Yeah, we have 2 of them, one for tools and shop equipment, the other one for keeping the part supplies, our in-stock stuff. And then we have the 2 computers that we use.
Those suckers got to be hot.
Yeah.
They got to be hot. And so it's just, look, I just don't know that you guys know how unique you are and how impressive this is. Because, I mean, like, nobody else could pull this off, right? Especially you, because, like, you're handling a ton of workload. And it's not, like, you're not there to be able to put your hand physically on the paper and to solve the problem and to call the parts place and to deal with the thing, right?
Well, Eddie will scan the invoices for me. So I get them in my email and I check and I receive everything. So I'm still hoping that the vendor sent the right part.
Are you checking them off when they come in? Are you going, yeah, that's correct?
So most of the vendors require signature. So I will make sure that the part numbers match before signing it. Some vendors just drop and run.
And you're still doing this and putting out hours, though?
Yeah, I could probably put out more, but
More?
with where we're at now, I'm waiting for. So I don't know if Ed told you, but we just got new concrete poured.
Yeah,
we're working on the awning. We got one more rack sitting in the corner. We're going to order another rack. We're getting another scissor rack. So we are expanding that way. Again, pull a car in, diagnose it like for brake job, pull the brakes off, pull the calipers off, check everything out. Okay, well, it might be a couple hours to sell the job. So what do you got to do? Got to put the car back together.
Yeah.
Get it off the rack, get the next one in. So by getting those extra racks in there, I can have one torn apart, one working. That's going to speed up productivity.
Ed is a super good guy, right? And he really takes care of his people.
Yes.
And so do you think this would work if he didn't care as much as he did, right? In other words, if he was like some of the other shop owners that we've all experienced and seen, do you think this would work for you guys if he wasn't?
No.
He's amazing.
Absolutely not. No. Right. He's really involved. A lot of the other owners just come in, grab their money and leave. It would not work with the skeleton crew that we run.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see how it could either. Are you going to switch to a remote service?
Is this a me thing? Is this what the problem? Am I the problem?
I know.
I come in and run. I don't have any money to grab, so I just show up and go, did we make any money, guys? No. Oh, okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll check in.
This is definitely an us problem. We are the problems in our shops. There's no doubt about that.
I need to have Ed come out and figure what the hell I'm doing wrong.
Did you know that Kansas City is cooler than Arizona? And it's closer. It's one less time zone. And so if y'all talk to Ed into buying Done With Care Auto Repair.
I don't know that he would. Well, first off, he's more than welcome to just take it. I don't need any money. I just need to sign the debt over. Here's what you owe, and then I need to walk away. And then I'm done. I'm out. He would probably whip it into shape.
I'll be honest with you. We've spent a lot of time together, and I've watched your shop. I think just about anybody could whip it into shape. Like if they actually did anything, right? Like anything at all. Like if they just worked for maybe 30 minutes a day.
Does that work a lot?
Yes. And actually, I was going to say a story. Was it March that he went to the Mars conference?
Yes.
Yeah, so he went to the Mars conference in March for 2 days.
Yeah.
Right? I won't say everything fell apart, but it definitely...
Chaos ensued.
Correct. Yeah, he is such, the sprocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the owner's perspective, though, that's dangerous. And it's dangerous for him. And it's dangerous for you
That's
guys.
No, what's wrong with that?
I think it's dangerous.
No, it's not.
Because if something happens to Ed, it can leave them exposed.
Okay.
Right? I'm sure they would clean
But
it up
also,
and go
if
with
he
it.
loses her, he's got a problem. If he loses him, he's got a problem. If he loses Lorenzo, he's got a problem.
I mean, that's just business ownership, though. But building the business around himself in that way.
I don't think it's that he's building the business around himself. I think he has to. It's such a unique situation. He's got to find the holes, and he's got to go, I got to fill this hole. I got to fill this hole. And, that's why a lot of shop owners do that.
But he's taken a step back and he's kind of pushing it on us now.
Yeah.
Because before he was, customers want to come in, they only want to speak to Ed.
Right.
There's still some customers that say, I only want to speak to Ed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can help you. I'm like, well, let me see if I can help you first. And then if I can't help you, then we'll definitely get Ed back. But if you wanted to speak to Ed, he's working on a vehicle. He's,
It'll be a little bit.
It'll be a little bit. And sometimes I get those customers that will tell me and I'll answer their question right on the spot. Other times, no, I just want to talk to Ed. We had a customer that came in and was sat in the office for, I think, 2 hours waiting for Ed.
Oh, my God.
They just wanted to talk to Ed.
I think he was in Phoenix getting parts for them.
Yeah, he went out to Phoenix to get parts. I think the AC machine, right? It was.
Yeah, he bought that AC machine.
Yeah,
So, but I guess my point is like, with Ed being the hub, because, and the reason I say that is because this week, my shop performed really well. And it even performed well on Thursday. And Thursday was a carryover day from what we had lined up and how we had planned things and how we had set things up for me being out of town, right? But then Friday was chaos because I wasn't there. And it's because in a lot of ways, I've built myself as the hub. Now we're losing a service advisor and they've kind of like decided, hey, I'm just going to cruise and it's going to be okay. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's not a negative situation. It's just that it means that there's a lot of pressure on you guys if something happens to Ed. You know what I mean? There was a shop in North Carolina.
He can hire somebody, though. In other words, what he needs to do is find a tech for this poor guy to go in and do
his job.
And
job. Then he can manage
the technician side of your job. And then you can step into what Ed does and essentially fill the holes up and just essentially coordinate with you and manage. That's all he needs to do.
That would be good, but the problem is not to toot my own horn, but there's not many techs like me.
But you hire two then. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be facetious. Like that's what you do is like, if the numbers that you're saying are insane. And we've met a few techs that are just like, they're just freaks, right? So
you're Brian Pollocks, you're Jeff Comptons, I
don't know about them. Canadian New Yorkers now. You got to go further south. That's where you find the good work ethic. Anyway, so they're just jokes, people. Don't come at me. Anyway, they're just jokes. Everything is just jokes. Okay. So I'm just saying, you find people like that occasionally, but that also makes it more dangerous because if something happens to you, I lose 109 hours in 2 weeks. I can't lose 109 hours in 2 weeks. That'll cripple my business, right? So what do I do now? Well, I can find two techs that can do 30 hours each a week. And then between that, in 2 weeks, that's 120 hours. That's easier to find, a 30-hour a week guy. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do, is I would find two guys to take over your workload, technician workload, and then you can help with diag, you can help with...
So the problem is we only have 2 racks at our shop.
Well, that's why you need the racks.
Why you can't hire 2 to take over for 1 because then you don't... I'm like, they're not going to split a rack.
You're going to stack.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's why, when we expand, I'm sure
Right.
we're going to hire another tech. I'm like, just the amount of racks that we're going to have at that point,
Yeah.
it would be pointless. I'm like, I could use 3. I used to use 3 at the dealership, but you could see that the productivity going from 2 to 3, it just doesn't climb up as high as going from 1 to 2.
There's always been a big argument for having a tech that had 2 or 3 bays, right? And the problem with that is that you have to turn the hours that you're talking about to make that work. Because if you don't, right, that bay is worth what that bay is worth a day. Right. And so if you get to the point that one bay is 8 hours and one bay is 3 hours turned a day because you have it on one
just stick
tag,
another guy in
you
there.
just threw yourself under the bus. Right. So you decreased your revenue. And, I think that the biggest challenge I would see to this is that when you guys grow, if he has to hire another service advisor and you have to interface with the other service advisor, I think that adds a layer of complexity because it changes the process so drastically, so quickly, right? And now the calls going to you or the calls going to them? How do we split the calls? Is it that it just rings over after so many rings? You see what I'm saying? Like that.
You can do a ring all. I mean, that's how it is in my shop. It goes to like 5 different phones and, hey, grab the phone, somebody.
Well, at first we were doing, because Ed sent me actually the business phone. He mailed a UPS for me. The UPS driver goes, here you go. I'm tired of it ringing all day because he never turned it off. So I got the phone, but at first it would ring to me. If I don't pick it up, it would transfer over to his phone. With that, I didn't get the voicemail. I didn't get the missed call. I didn't know if he answered or got back to the customer. Yeah. So that was that issue of we're dropping our customers. Sure. Mm-hmm. So I said, just have it only come to me. And if I can't get back to them, they leave me a voice message or I'll call the customer right back, which that's what I've been doing. If I have a doctor's appointment during the day and I'm not going to be there or I have something with the kids, then I'll say, Ed, I'm forwarding the calls to you. Yeah. So I'll just do call forwarding and everything will go to his cell phone. So
the way that my phones are set up is everybody has a soft phone on their cell phone, right? And then we all have desk phones. We all have individual extensions, but they're all set up in like a call queue. So I can take people in and out of the call queue as I need to. I can set priorities for the call queue. So like, hey, it rings here first and then here second if it needs to. And I can move that around and distribute that. The cool thing about that is that all the voicemails go to an email. And that email is spread across the entire shop.
Everybody gets the email, yeah.
So then if there's a missed call,
same thing with the missed calls.
Listens to it.
If a missed call pops in, we get an email saying, hey, you missed this call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
That makes it easier.
For sure.
So he needs 2 techs and a service advisor to manage what you got going right now.
Let me ask this. If there was anything about it that you could change, what would you change?
It gets difficult working, not seeing everything.
Cameras.
Yeah.
Correct, cameras.
Yeah. I was thinking, because at first we talked about we could put cameras and internet. So I could kind of look at, we have really bad internet.
We're out in the middle of nowhere, so we were relying on like Verizon, the
hotspot,
not hotspot, but whatever that little Verizon mobile thing. Yeah. And it's still very slow.
Right.
So I remember when I was in the office, internet was slow, but it wasn't that bad. When I came back this way, I'm like sitting there and the computer screen is circling. I'm like, this is going to take a lot longer to get the estimates done.
For sure.
Like at home, I have my laptop and then I have my computer with 2 screens. So I'm kind of using 3 different screens to function. So I'm moving a lot faster. We're just working on the laptop. It slows down. With the internet, it's horrible. But one of the things that would help is having a camera on the techs, seeing exactly what the process is and how far they're coming with the car, if they're pulling it in, if they have another car in. I think that would be
that was a big one, especially when I was in 3 bays, right? Mm-hmm. Because I could watch the bays very closely. Now that I'm in 10 bays, like 10 cameras straddled throughout the whole shop is difficult to like keep your eyes on and see where everybody's at. But with 3 bays, I could watch it and I could say, okay, here's where we are. Here's what we've got going on. That car's coming out. Why is he still in that car? Why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? So I can step in and say something about it.
You guys are far out enough that they won't run cable or
we don't even have
fiber.
Water. We use a well.
Yeah. I did end up getting a hotspot on Wednesday. So he went out and actually came back with a hotspot. And
But
it
estimates for me, it did.
It doesn't work. It works great in the office, but then in the back of the shop, it doesn't work back there. So I had to end up going back to the old system.
Yeah.
They've got setups though and they have satellite. How slow is
We
satellite?
have satellite right now.
Is it
we have.
Starlink, or do you have some
I don't know.
weird?
We're using Verizon.
Well, we just got the Verizon, but what was the old system?
It was
antenna on the top.
No, it wasn't. Well, Highway, the other company has the Starlink. I don't think it has Starlink.
How fast is Starlink? Starlink's pretty fast, isn't it?
It can be in some cases.
Sometimes it's not depending. So
The other thing too is it gets quite cloudy, especially this time of the year on a monsoon. So if it's satellite and the clouds are in the way, it doesn't work at all.
because previously when I was at the office, there was 3 mechanic shops at that time there, and they were using the Starlink. And then when it was cloudy or they didn't, that would drop off too. So either way, there would be, it's something.
And there's still a workaround. What we'd have to do is we would just take pictures on our phone, and then we would have to text to her.
Yeah.
And then she's got to upload it on there. So that's just more steps for everybody.
Yeah.
It slows it down, but it's still a process that we can get around.
Yeah. What would you change about it if you had something to change?
As far as the way the shop is, the cameras, for sure. I mean, that would be her biggest thing, because then that would definitely cut down on the phone calls coming in. It's like, hey, where are we at?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. If she had the camera, she could definitely see what's going on.
Even when I have a customer, I could see, we have a buzzer. So they're supposed to ring the buzzer, but not everyone does.
Ed forgets to charge it, so it's good for like 5 days. And over the weekend, then Monday comes in, they're hitting the button, and thing's dead, so we don't hear anything.
So I'll have a customer call and let me know that they're in the office, and I'll give Kyle a call, kind of apologize to them. But so that even having a camera in the office, seeing what's going on, we were talking, we mentioned something about doing like a terminal that will be able to FaceTime with me when they do call in.
Because I've seen that before. In other words, like there's video call terminals that you can, if you're watching the camera or whatever, or you can have a sign up and they walk up to like a screen and they can talk to you, and it's just like you're there, except you're not able to shake their hand or something, right? But in the medical field, I have seen terminals that they have like that. And so it's got one screen for the video.
They're so expensive.
They are. But then the other screen has like where you can sign off and approve repair orders or whatever it is, on the other side. So, I mean, there's all kinds of...
They roll them into them.
That's what he was saying. He was thinking about getting a kiosk, even for like dropping off keys and picking up lock boxes for...
I just got one of those. Juan loves it. He says he's so happy. He mentions it every single time he talks to me. He's like, oh, don't worry. I heard
him mention it yesterday.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's like, oh, don't worry, though. I'll just drop the keys in this new lockbox I have.
The other thing that I would think is maybe, because they have that new like push to talk now, right? Those little radios you can buy. And I would say that because like they make a huge difference for us, and we just use regular 2-way radios in the shop. But like being able to not have to have a phone conversation and answer the phone, right? Push the button, answer the phone, have the conversation, hang up. Then you have another question, have to call right back.
And it's really not that bad. I usually wear the ear pods.
Right.
So it just comes in, and all I have to say is yes. You want to answer? Yes. Bam, she's on. So my hands don't even have to come out of the engine bay. And then when I'm done, she hangs up. So when she hangs up, it hangs up the call, and then it goes back to the music in my ear pods.
I just learned so much. My wife always tells me, she's like, you need to be the one to hang up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You answered the phone. Why do I need to be the one to hang up? She's like, you just need to be the one to hang up. I'm like, but my phone's over there, and I'm, and obviously I've got the button on the steering wheel, but still, I realize now that she's just saying yes to answer the call. Mm-hmm. And
she doesn't want to get out.
Well, she probably doesn't have her phone on her. It could be
I know she's
20
washing
feet somewhere else in the
dishes
house. Yeah. And I'm the same way. I keep my phone on my toolbox because I learned the other day that you leave it up on top, it's too hot, and my phone shut off on me the other day. So I ended up taking it and putting it in my fridge, and then going back to work. And then she's calling me, and if I walk like to the other side of the other bay, then that's the 30 foot for the phone. So it starts getting garbly.
Right.
And I said, yeah, sorry, phone overheated. Had to throw it in the fridge. Hold on a second. Let me walk back 10 feet over.
So just out of curiosity, if you say ignore, does it like just ignore the call?
No, it just says, Kasia's calling. Do you want to answer? And if you just say nothing, it'll ring 4 times, and then it'll dump her into my voicemail. So
David needs one he can say ignore to, because like David needs to verbalize how much he hates the person on the other end of the phone.
I don't answer the phones there. I just don't answer. Like
Your clients are so lucky because of that. This dude will absolutely dad voice every client that calls him. And so if he has to answer the phone for the shop while he's here, like, oh my goodness, I'm waiting to catch up.
I turn off the phones when I'm here. When I leave, like I go out of town, I just turn me off. I don't want to deal with that. I'll get distracted. The phone will just constantly drives me nuts.
So when mine rings through, if it rings and somebody dials my extension, it comes through the soft phone. I'm not paying attention, like I'm in a car. I'll hit the answer button, and I won't realize that it's like a client calling.
So mine prompts you and says hit 1 to accept. So that's how I know it's a shop call.
Yeah, I took that off of mine. I think I'll add it back.
Yeah, why would you take it off? Otherwise, you're like,
so depressing. So depressing. No, I really don't want to talk to anybody right now.
So stupid.
All right, then.
You guys are nuts. I'm just telling you guys are nuts. That's crazy.
Y'all are unicorns is what you are.
What's that? Yeah.
I don't understand.
My lunch break is like it's whenever I take it. So it's during their lunch. I'm answering the phones because that's when everyone's calling because everyone's on their lunch, so they want to talk to somebody. So their lunch is my 2:00. So I'm working through that, but I'm clocked out at another time.
That is extremely convenient. That is extremely convenient.
Juan works through lunch. But
I don't
then
want
he takes
it through lunch.
What's that? Well, I mean, he'll eat. Sometimes he'll eat. Sometimes he'll eat at his desk. He's whatever. But then he'll take off to go get his kids or whatever, and he's gone.
I was thinking about this last night because you were talking about.
Tell me you take a lunch, right? A full lunch,
yeah.
like 1 hour.
We shut the shop down 12 to 1. Everybody leaves.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we've been in talk about off splitting because we do have clients come in at like 12:15, 12:30. Nobody's there. They have to wait. So we've been in talks about me going maybe 11 to 12. So that the other 2 guys are there, and then I come back at 12, and then Ed leaves, and then at least I'm still there to greet the customers or cash them out or something like that. But we haven't implemented anything.
What sucks about that is then because we like to go to lunch together sometimes.
Yeah.
So if we split it,
How are you going to go eat 5?
Well, so yeah, and we always have our Friday work meetings. So the 3 of us will go to lunch, put her on speaker, and then go over everything for the week, what we need to fix, what the numbers were, and what next week is.
We still have meetings. We just don't do. We watch Netflix and eat. That's what we do.
I am curious though. So like,
is it that I don't run it as a business?
Yes.
Is it just a hangout?
Yeah, it is. But I'm just really curious because you were giving me so much of a hard time about like losing an advisor the other day. Mm-hmm. What happens if Juan quits?
I told you this yesterday. I'll just shut the shop down. I'm not going back to that nonsense. You know what I'll do? I'll call his brother. He's a nice guy too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
He's an HVAC tech.
You think he could pull off being an advisor? I mean, Juan is a unicorn too.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. You know why?
Why?
Mexican, born Mexican. I'm telling you. Makes all the difference.
What happened to you?
I'm not Mexican at all in any way, shape, or form. 0.00% Mexican.
Done a DNA test? I bet. Hey, listen. If you send it into the what's the one that does the dog DNA test? I'm sure it would come back with something. You don't need to do the human one, right?
Come back mutt.
No, it's super mutt, right? It's
super.
They
mutt.
call it super mutt. It's got just a list of all the dogs you would be. Okay. I guarantee you they'd give you an answer. I bet money. I'm gonna do it. I want to see what it says.